can read the words together. They reflect the membership ceremony today. So, together, we need one another. We come together this morning because within us there is something that knows we need more than we can find in our loneliness. We know that we need others for this journey of life, even though we might also guard our independence and individuality quite jealously. So let us celebrate all that makes us unique, yet also all that makes us one. And let us dream dreams of all that we can do together. Thank you. Next slide, please. All right, 7 candles. We have 7 people who have indicated they are interested in officially joining our society today. So with the 7 people, Kate and Tina and Colin and Wendy and Jim, please come forward and take a seat up here. Michelle. Sorry. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just having a little memory lapse. It doesn't matter where.
It doesn't matter where.
Doesn't matter. No, you get to pick a bag that speaks to you, just like it's your version of what USR means to you. Pick a bag that says all this. Is there anyone else who did not speak to me who is dying to become a member today? There will be other opportunities, but we certainly would like to welcome anybody else that might be interested in joining our society. It is as simple as signing your name in this book, but we're, yeah. Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yes. But we're trying to be a little bit more formal. We have not had a membership ceremony since before COVID. Obviously, COVID disrupted so many things. So we're very happy to now be able to take a little bit of time to welcome these new members. I have asked them to stand and talk briefly, less than 1 minute, introducing themselves to you, even though most of us know these wonderful people, and to say one thing that brought them to you. And after you do that, and we can go in order, I mean, if you don't mind me first, okay. Sign the book, light a candle, and put it here to join the other chalice lights, okay? So your light will join our lights. So, if you don't mind, could you introduce yourself? Sure.
So, I'm Wendy Paisville, and as a child in Minnesota, my parents and I often had professors and students stay at our home from places like Egypt, Pakistan, India, and Japan. So my childhood was very diverse and happily so. Then in '67, we moved to Hawaii, where I learned quite a few lessons, some of them painful, about diversity. When we can honor and respect each other's differences, we make the world safe. So the UU is not really ethnically diverse, and I'm hoping we can change that. But there is a diversity with regards to our perception of reality. We think differently about the origins of life and death. But we're learning to be human. And what comes after life, well, eventually we'll all find out. We can wait on that one. So I like being at UU because I can be myself. And tomorrow I might be a different self. So old self, new self, but always accepted. So thank you, UU, for making space for us to be ourselves.
Okay, no, you come.
Yes.
Come this way. Yep, that's right. You have signed, but touch the book, please. Okay. And light a candle. I put it there.
who I am. I can question, and it's okay not to know. I was brought up Catholic. I went to a Lutheran church for a while, so we were kind of Catherine for a while. But really, just feeling like this is a good place, and it's the center of it being love and being accepting is really touched me. So.
Thank you. Michelle.
I am Michelle Foster. I moved to River Falls recently on a gut feeling that River Falls was a really good place, and shortly thereafter came here. And in that found a community of people that I shared a lot of values in common with and some differences. And I love the diversity that we've spoken of, that Wendy spoke of. I love it here. I love reminding myself of what's important by joining hands and reading those words every time I come. It means a great deal to me, and I'm sad when I don't get to come. So I love it here, and I love all of you, even if I don't know you. So thanks for having me.
I'm Colin Lipschitz. I go to the university in town. I don't know. I came here to get a secondary education and play football, and then deciding on a college, it was important to see how close a church or society was. So it was very cool to see it so close to here, and I keep coming back for community.
Hi, I'm Jim Peso. I'm the man who accompanies Wendy. And I was born and raised in Los Angeles back in the day when the smog was so thick you could grab hold of it with your bare hands, roll it up into a ball, and jump it. Anyway, in the suburbs of LA, my family attended St. Martha's, where I saw two aspects of Catholicism. There was the senior pastor, Father McNamara, who was stern, unsmiling, dogmatic, obey all the rules and don't talk back. There was the associate pastor, Father O'Leary, and his deal was much different. Empathy, compassion, inclusion, broad-mindedness. The word I heard from my mom was that Father O'Leary did not feel supported, and he eventually moved on. Well, here I am today, and even though I've long since left behind active Catholic practice, I still hold to Father O'Leary's approach. And that's what I value about being part of UU. Here the doors are open. Whatever spiritual path you're on, whether it's a 4-lane freeway or a rocky trail or something in between, all are included and all are welcome. And that's what I thank you for.
Thanks, Jim. You signed the book, I can just touch your signature, okay? We will re-energize your signature in the book, okay? Here. Yeah, oh, here.
Good morning, I'm Kate Ivers, and I am here and wanting to be a central part of this community. It's always been extremely important to me to belong, and as I came here, I felt that very quickly, that I could be an important part of this group. And I've already made wonderful friends here, and I'm hoping that I can give back anything that I have. So I appreciate being here.
Okay. Sign here. And last but not least, another Kate.
The tall cake, the short cake. My story is a bit different because, number one, I'm older than all of you, maybe. But I have been a
so I went to the UU church and I found a totally different message. And a broad one, and for years, when I lived in a city that had a UU church, I participated in that. I moved here 10 years ago. I have been intermittent, but more regular in the last 2 years because I wanted this congregation. And one more thing I want to say is that when I tried other churches, Protestant churches, it didn't feel right, and I felt like a phony. I was saying words, part of a ritualized, memorized, whether it was a prayer or some kind of spiritual message that didn't fit for me, and I was tired of being false. So I'm not false when I come here.
Okay. Please sign the book here.
Even though I sang.
Oh, you signed it. C4. Oh, that's right, you're here. B. Okay, then you have to just touch the book.
Touch the book.
Re-energize your signature here. Very good, thank you. Well, a few words of welcome go along with the book signing. We don't have a membership committee. We haven't in recent years. And so I was tasked with the job of creating this ceremony. And I have to say, okay, I can do it. But as I thought about it, my real thought was, well, who better than me to do this? Because my signature is way back here on the first page for the first membership ceremony, as is Juliet and Prescott and Don, but there are very few of us who are still here. Since 1989, there have been about 300 people who have signed this book. Many of them, unfortunately, have passed away in 30 plus years. Some of them have moved away. Some of them have found another reason that was more compelling for them than to be a member of this society after they were here. There are reasons why now all 300 people are no longer with us. But as I look through these names, my heart is full of the people that I remember who have been a part of the creation and the sustainability of this church over these years. So I want to honor both these past members who have helped build and keep this church going, but I also want to reach forward into the future with the people that are now willing to be members, share in our community, and help keep this building, this society running and functioning for the people that it's important to, which is not just the people in this room, but people in the wider community that rely on having a religion of free choice. So I'm very grateful to everyone who has signed this book and to our new members today. Bob, our board president, has a few words of welcome. Do you want to come up here, Bob, or read them from there?
I think I'll stand right here, thank you.
Speak loudly.
Thanks, Dan, for a fine ceremony. We welcome into our community these new members who have chosen to make a commitment to this congregation by signing our membership book. We are grateful today for each one of you, that you have found your way here and that you are choosing to join your life with the life of this society. Ours is a free fellowship. We have no creeds, and you are encouraged to bring your ideas and beliefs. Speak out on the future of our congregation. Offer and receive the gifts of spirit, support others, and be supported in return. If you will join us in this mission and work, please say, I will.
I will.
Thank you. Will the members of this society please rise
If you are a current member, would you please stand?
and respond? Please rise and respond. We welcome you to this community with all our hearts. Together, we welcome
you to this community with all our hearts.
Thanks for joining.
You are welcome to return to the audience and not have to. But thank you. After the service today, there are treats for celebration in the kitchen, so please help us continue to celebrate by a little bit more sweetness. These people are certainly bringing sweetness into our community. There's a little bit of sweetness in the kitchen after the service. Okay, next slide, please, Deb. All right, well, there are 7 people that you know a whole lot better, but there are lots of people in here that you may not know. So let's take a few minutes to greet one another.
Good morning.
great week.
I am grateful that I got to come this Sunday because we haven't been able to come for the past couple weeks.
Happy to have you back.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure probably none of you are aware, but our community lost somebody. It's heavy on my heart, and they used to come here on a regular basis. So if you haven't heard, please come talk to me and I'll tell you.
No, share it. If you can.
Does everyone know that Caitlin
Yes.
O'Connor's spouse passed away? Yep. So.
The news has gotten out.
And I'm the teacher for one of their sons, and their third grade son was back at school this week. It's hard.
Yeah, but thank you for sharing. Yes, it's very heavy on our hearts. We remember Cameron. And our thoughts are with his family. There will be a memorial service here in a couple weeks for some more information on that. Any other joys or concerns? Let me add one more stone. Your joys and sorrows, concerns that are unexpressed remain in our hearts. Okay, next slide. There we go. 11 o'clock, so we're pretty close to being on schedule. Our speaker today is Reverend Ludwig. He is currently a chaplain in the Twin Cities. He was a children's pastor at City Hill Church, a non-denominational church in Eden Prairie. I know a little bit more about him, but only a little. You also had a ministry in France, which is endlessly interesting to me. I met Jay this morning, but I feel I have known a little bit about him for many years because he is the father of Janelle Ludwig Krause, who's the executive director of Grow, who I think is one of the most marvelous human beings on the planet. So
I agree.
So anyone who's the father of someone that wonderful has to be a pretty wonderful person himself, I think. So I'm very pleased that Jay is here to talk with us today. So without any more delay, Jay, the podium is yours.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
How about up in heaven? Sure. I heard that's heaven. Surprised we're not all up there. It is a pleasure to be with you today. There we go. So this is the title of my talk today, On the Edge or At the Edge of Eternity. As a chaplain in a senior residence, and before that, having worked at Abbott Northwestern Hospital in the heart unit in Minneapolis, I felt often that I was on the edge of eternity with folks there. And I think I'm going to ask for the next slide. There you go. That's my dad. He passed about a year and a half ago. Jesus said, "In my Father's house there are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, you can be also." Next slide. Need a little mirror up here. When I got the call, I drove
dropped everything, jumped into my car, and raced to the nursing home. I found my brother, Dave, and my sister-in-law, Linda, sitting at my dad's bedside. Dad was lying peacefully on his back, his eyes closed, his mouth unnaturally open. His breathing was very shallow. We had to watch his chest and listen carefully to hear his faint and sporadic breaths to know if he was still alive. Dave said he and Linda had been there for about an hour, reading scriptures out loud, speaking reassuringly to Dad. Dave moved aside so that I could sit right next to my dad. I massaged his hand, told him who I was, holding back the tears. I spoke of God's love for him and the home that God had prepared for him in heaven. Dave and I reassured him it was okay to go. We would be all right. Told my dad I loved him, which I had said more often lately. I knew we were standing at the edge of eternity with my dad. Soon he would step over, we would be left behind. He would be out of our sight, but never out of our minds and hearts. Right up to the end, my dad was gracious, gentle, and generous. When I went to sit with him at dinner time to help him eat, he would say, "Have you had your supper?" I'd say, "Well, no, not yet, Dad. I'll eat when I get home." "Are you hungry? You can have some of my food." The staff loved my dad dearly. We didn't want to say goodbye, but now he was just a shell of the man that he had been. His life had been reduced to sitting all day in a Broda chair, often calling out for hours for Dave and me. We had been praying for months that God would graciously come to take him home, and that day had finally come. But saying that final goodbye wasn't any easier. And then about a half hour later, on September 23rd, 2023, at 2:10 in the afternoon, Dad took his final breath and was gone. It was a holy moment. It felt like time had stood still as we took in what had just happened. We had just witnessed the end of my dad's earthly life and the beginning of his life to come. Eye has not seen, nor ear heard, nor have entered into the heart of man the things which God has prepared for those who love him. I'm guessing the experience I just described is one that many of us here have also experienced. I hope I haven't brought up any memories that are too painful for anyone. But each person who goes through these end-of-life moments has so many different thoughts and emotions, right? Each passing is unique. But they often share common elements, and I'd like to reflect today on what we might do to prepare ourselves for that time when we or one of our loved ones will come to that point in their life, and to help us hopefully navigate those last moments with peace, understanding, and grace. Next slide. There we go. One of the big questions in life is, should I choose quantity or quality? For instance, you're at the grocery store. You're in the cookie aisle. Next slide. You're going to ask yourself, should I buy a package of Oreo cookies? They could last me all week, or maybe even longer. Or, next slide, the same price, should I get one decadent dessert? Quantity or quality? If we reach old age, this is going to be one of the fundamental questions we will probably have to ask ourselves or face with a loved one. Do I want more years, months, days to live, or do I want a better quality of life in this time I have left? My wife Pam has had to answer that question many times over the last 8 years as she has gone through chemotherapy. For her, the question is enduring the side effects worth spending more time with my family, who I love so dearly? Although we can never answer that question for another person, we can lovingly help them through the process of the pros and cons of medical interventions. And we can ask ourselves that question, although we may change our decision when our circumstances change. And that is one of the very important questions that Dr. Atul Gawande addressed in his excellent book, Being Mortal, which is on the back table there. There are some books back there that I recommend. You're welcome to page through them. They're not for sale, sorry, but easily available. Next slide, please. There are many other important and practical questions, right? We have to decide. Do I have a current healthcare directive? Do I have a current will? Are all my affairs in order? What's the difference between palliative care and hospice? Do I or my loved one need assisted living, skilled nursing, memory care? What are my goals at this point in my life? What are my fears? What's still on my bucket list? Here are a few other helpful questions from Dr. John Dunlop's book, Finishing Well to the Glory of God. Questions we could ask each other or encourage a loved one to consider. Is there someone to whom you want to say, next slide, I love you? Next slide, thank you. Next slide, I'm sorry, forgive me. Next slide, I forgive you. Next slide, please. If you're caring for a loved one, are you receiving the rest and support you need? Do you know what to expect when your loved one declines in health in the next months or weeks or days? There's an excellent guide called Gone From My Sight, which is also on the table in the back. It's by Barbara Carnes, who's a nurse, a registered nurse. It describes the typical progression when someone's health declines. All these preparations and information are good and very important, but I don't think anything can really prepare us for that moment when we have to say goodbye. Full of memories, lots of emotions, mixed emotions. But if we want to be there for that person who we love so much, it's important to focus on them, isn't it? Are they comfortable? If they're in pain, has it been adequately addressed? What would reassure them the most right now? Are there people in their life they would like to have near them right now? Or a voice they'd like to hear? Next slide, please. As you probably know, even if someone is unconscious or in a coma, they probably can hear everything going on in the room around them within their earshot. It's good to speak lovingly to them, read to them quietly, play or sing their favorite songs or hymns. They'll appreciate a gentle massage, a hug, funny, meaningful memory. But most of all, what they want is you by their side. As I consider my last days, I want my children and my grandchildren to be right there with me. I do not want to be alone. loved one is having a hard time letting go. Sometimes it's good just to invite everyone to take a break. Leave the room. Sometimes that person wants privacy in that last moment. And I think we should respect that. Why am I saying all these things today? It's because God said in Genesis, let us make people in our image, according to our likeness. So God created people in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. We have been made in God's image and have infinite value in his eyes. Everyone deserves respect, dignity, and loving support when they're facing eternity. And I think we have the responsibility and the honor to accompany them, our loved ones, on their journey. Psalm 116 says, precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. One more slide, please. When I began my chaplaincy training at Abbott Northwestern Hospital in Minneapolis, I was assigned to the heart unit, and I understood I would see heart attacks, I would see people being resuscitated, but my greatest apprehension was to witness someone dying. What would that look like? How could I offer the support that that person and that family would need at that moment? Was I up to the task? Why couldn't I be assigned to orthopedics? But what I discovered the first time I was with a patient who passed was the sense at that moment that I had witnessed a soul leaving this earth and entering eternity. Something awesome and amazing had just happened. And God had helped me to be there for that person and that family. I'm guessing many of you have also experienced that moment or will with a loved one. My hope is that you too will have the peace, the understanding, and the grace to offer the emotional and spiritual support that that person and their family need and want at that time. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Amen.
I think Reverend Ludwig, next.
Is there one more slide?
There might be questions or
Oh,
comments. Does
sure.
anybody
Oh, wonderful.
have?
That would be great.
You know, we question everything.
Good. Oh,
We
I'm
like
so-
discussion, so I don't know, does anybody
Yes,
have
I love
questions or comments? We have
discussion.
we certainly have time.
I'm obviously
Sure.
coming at this from a very certain perspective, okay? You caught on to that, obviously, and I don't expect that to be everyone's perspective at all. But you invited me to come. You got it. Yes?
What do you find, people have different perspectives when they're approaching the final moments? What have you found, what have you discovered from that? What experiences have you had?
It's very emotional. That's really the bottom line. It's very emotional for people. And you cannot predict how people are going to respond at that moment, of course. And to tell you the truth, that moment can bring out the worst in families. We had a situation at the hospital where we had to plan the arrivals of certain family members so they would not see each other in the elevator or in the hallway. Pretty sad, isn't it? Yes?
Have you noticed angels in the room?
Oh,
Passing people?
I have felt them. I have felt them. And I know people have seen them. I mean, you can tell it in their expression. Interestingly enough, at that moment, people often see car, could be a race car, could be a train, could be a wagon. It's interesting, isn't it? But definitely, people often have visions at that time. Sometimes they'll see a loved one calling to them. Yeah. It's a holy moment. Yes?
I follow a hospice nurse on Facebook, and one of the things that she mentions towards the end, and I don't know if you've experienced this or not, is that individuals tend to start reaching up for something.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone, obviously, but
Right.
there's individuals who reach up and they may be speaking a name of someone who might be a relative of theirs who's passed on, or
Right.
even like a pet that may have passed on. I don't know if you've experienced that or not.
And
But
not
she
with
mentioned
pets,
that
but
she's seen that.
right, yeah, people will lift their arms. There's so much we do not know, right? About life and about death. So much we don't know. So it's hard to know what all those things mean. But to me, there's something very sacred about that moment. And that's what I was trying to communicate today. Yeah. Any other comments or questions?
Question from up high.
Yes. I think God is speaking to us right now.
You mentioned a difference between palliative and hospice care. I don't know the difference, so.
Oh,
if you
sure.
can help.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. So palliative care is like an umbrella, all right? And so hospitals will have a palliative care doctor or doctors, nurses, chaplain, possibly. And palliative care can begin when someone decides that they no longer want curative treatment. That's not their goal any longer. And they especially want to be comfortable and want to enjoy the time that they have left to the fullest. So the palliative care team's goal is to help them achieve that. They'll ask, what are your goals? How do you want to achieve those goals? And they will do everything they can to help you achieve those goals. When kind of time is running out and the palliative care team feels that you probably only have about 6 months left, that's when they'll suggest hospice care for you. And hospice care is kind of like palliative care on steroids. All kinds of services open up to you, and this is wonderful. It could be spiritual support, it could be music, massage. They'll bring in someone who is an expert on pain relief, because their goal is that you experience as little pain as possible. And they're the experts. They really surround someone with care at that time. Yeah, and the family.
Question. As a chaplain in a hospital, I'm sure that you work with and come across people of all faith backgrounds.
Right.
Could you talk a little bit about coming as things, obviously you come from the perspective of a Christian faith. How did you flex to meet the needs of patients who don't believe in God, people of other faiths? What does that look like and feel like for you?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that question. So as you mentioned, I was a children's pastor for many years. So a pastor is someone in a congregation, right? Where in a typical, church, it's pretty homogenous in the beliefs of the people there, right? They are Lutheran, Catholics, Baptists, Pentecostal, whatever they are. So a pretty homogenous congregation. A chaplain is someone who serves in the public. Military, prisons, police and fire, hospitals. A chaplain serves the public. And so what I appreciated, I don't know if you know this, but there's training for chaplains. It's called clinical pastoral education. And the goal of that training is to help individuals, especially if it's a pastor who has been in a congregation to make that transition into serving anyone, no matter what their faith, or if they don't, have a faith journey that they're on. So that was new for me. But a chaplain's job has two parts to it. It's kind of 50-50. Offering emotional support and offering spiritual support. So someone who is expressing that they do not follow a faith, then our job is emotional support for that person, right? But whatever faith, for instance, at the senior residence where I work, we got people from all different faiths, right? So I bring my baggage as a Protestant there, but we have, several Catholic people there. So I'm in touch with the local Catholic church. I encourage, them to come and serve communion. I bring Catholic folks to that service. I do everything I can to support those Catholic people, right? But there are plenty of people at the residence where I'm at who do not express faith. But man, do they need a friend. They need emotional support. As you know, so much loneliness in senior residences. And that's a big part of my job as well. Does that answer your question? Yes.
In response to what you just said, my father was in a nursing home up in St. Pauli. I bring my mother one day a week and we make the trip and spend the day, but I somehow found out he was the pastor was visiting him on a regular basis, and my father was an atheist, and he was in dementia at that point, and I thought maybe it was distressing him. So I asked him about that, and he said, no, he's doing what he believes in his company. So, it meant something to him, even though it wasn't in a religious sense.
Right.
It was company, and he even could grasp that it meant something.
Yeah.
Someone was caring.
So that pastor hopefully was sensitive to, this is your father?
Yes.
Yeah. And not trying to push. A chaplain is never supposed to proselytize. So our mandate is to accompany people on their spiritual journey, whatever it looks like. We're to walk with them and encourage them on their journey. We're not to force our journey on them. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yes.
Another comment. My mother was in hospice and actively dying, I guess, for 2 days, but we thought it was going to go farther into a longer period. And it was the hospice I thought would help us through that in the process. And there was a transfer from personnel, and nobody was there.
Oh.
And except the nursing home people that were busy with other things, and they drop in once in a while. I wish I had prepared more so I knew
Right.
what that active dying process, so it wasn't a panic every time,
Yes.
she got cold or
Right.
sweat or, all these
Right.
things. I didn't know what was going on.
Oh.
I thought
How can
someone
you know?
was going to help me through it.
Right.
Prepare yourself.
I'm so
you
sorry.
know.
That should not have happened. And
I
not
realize that.
not every hospice service is excellent.
It was
So-
good in other respects, it's just,
Yeah.
it was the timing was bad.
Timing was bad,
Glad
right?
that somebody died or somebody was ill.
Sure, a staff.
And they
They were
had a
short
good
staffed.
after process where the family could get counseling. I don't know if they offer that anymore when funding has gone down.
Typically they
so
do.
many things. But that was an excellent service that they provided.
Right?
It helped through that.
Yeah.